Dear subscribers, as you know, we shared many information for you, and we are studying very hard to find current news for you. However, I cannot use this channel for future. Please follow our new channel called as Daily News Report and watch our video to support us. Link in description. Also, you can reach the video we shared on Daily News Report by clicking on the top right button. We highly recommend watching, subscribing and sharing. We will continue to share some news on this channel, but we take precautions against some situations for future. Thank you for supporting us.
With me today.
It's a pleasure to be here as always, and I thought we'd just be talking about Bitcoin, but because all that's going on in the financial markets, we may have many things to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Precious metals has been your bread and butter for so many years, and we've moved into Bitcoin here largely. Andy, with the economy going the way it has, let's get your thoughts here. As we go into 2018, gold is showing itself to be pretty resilient. And, what are your thoughts and reasons as to why we are seeing this now?
Right. Well, look, when you look at the financial markets, and again, anyone who's been following me for a very long time knows my view. We're in an unprecedented fiat Ponzi scheme, and at some point it has to resolve itself. I mean, I'm encouraged by the fact that Bitcoin has emerged to give kind of a future, like, once we get through all the debt that has to be repudiated, there's a brighter future. But still, that debt has to be repudiated. And when you see every single day soaring debt of the governments, institutions, corporations, and individuals all at record highs and exploding, and now finally, do we have that catalyst in interest rates rising? And again, it was actually a year ago, it was January 2017, when I wrote, while still at Miles Franklin, I said 2.5% and upset. I said, if we go above 2.5 in the 10-year, it means they're starting to lose control of rates for all their monetization and QE and NERP and ZERP, and the economy just can't handle it. Neither can the governments of the world.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people have misconstrued your opinion on precious metals. So many people are even using you as a contrarian indicator. Look, Andy Hoffman's not even, about precious metals anymore. He sold his silver. But I mean, this is the reason why you got into Bitcoin. It's the underlying bubble that's in the economy that is giving you your confidence in, Bitcoin and the technologies that are out there that are, I guess, sidestepping the control of the central banking system. And I mean, anything you'd like to say to that? Because I know a lot of people are out there questioning, your moves here.
Well, I'm not sure why they'd be questioning my moves. I left precious metals when Bitcoin was $3,000 or $4,000 after I'd spending the past year and a half pretty much talking about it every day, and it went to 20,000, and now it's 10 or 11,000. So I'm not sure what the move that they're questioning is, but I'll go on. And the thing is, I've made it very clear that I've changed my view because Bitcoin strengthened itself by surviving the scaling debate and moving through SegWit and the hard forks to the point where I now believe it's the most solid long-term store of value asset. I've also said that I still own some gold because I do believe gold's value is immutable over time. I don't believe silver's use case is the same now that we have digital assets, but I still hold gold because I believe strongly in it over time. Most importantly, because of after 4 decades of suppressing the price, the mining industry has been destroyed. So while they keep printing money and inflating, there's going to be no chance of any increase in mine production probably for a decade or more. So I see a supply-demand shortage in gold that's going to persist. That said, people want to say, well, look at gold, it's doing so well. Gold's up 3% this year. I mean, the dollar is free falling. It's at a 4-year low. Interest rates are surging. The stocks are having a hard time now. I mean, things are really bad out there. Gold's up 3% this year. The range of, look, it was crushed, everyone knows, back to going to April 2013. Obama had his closed door meeting with the top 2 big to fail CEOs, and that day Goldman Sachs put out a short sell recommendation on gold, and then 2 days later, you had this big massive crash, and it never recovered. And since that time, which is now 5 years ago, the resistance range has been 1350 to 1400. Every time it's gotten up there, whether it's the Brexit or the Trump election, whatever it is, it's always been knocked down. So when everyone's saying how great it's doing, it's 1345, and it just won't go above there. The cartel is still there. I'm not sure if that's the only reason, but that's what it is. When it breaks above 1,400 and moves significantly, probably will be within a very significant financial crisis. And if that's the case, I'm pretty sure that Bitcoin will be a big winner. But yes, I believe gold will do fine. But the bigger picture for the world right now is, are we headed into a financial crisis? Is this just the first tiny little blip to the point where if the Dow goes down like 500 points from 25,000, that it's like a catastrophe? Or are we actually headed into what theoretically would happen if markets were not controlled, which is the highest ever valuations amidst the highest debt and the weakest fundamentals will revert to something far more normal? I don't know that right now, but certainly right now it is something that is on radar screen. If it persists much longer, meaning stocks going down and or interest rates rising and the dollar falling, it's going to become an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, I couldn't agree with you more. Let's move over to cryptocurrency. And one of the things that we want to talk about is essentially what's going on with Bitcoin. And it has been losing some dominance as of lately. It went up to $20,000. It really sucked out the value from so many of the other cryptos as it was moving higher. But since we've moved down, I'm looking at coin market cap, 10,651. Ethereum is essentially at all-time highs. And, actually right now there's a sea of red out there. You just go down the list. Everything is down at the moment. And in general, I know a lot of skeptics out there saying this is the bubble. The floor is about to be ripped out from underneath of all of these cryptos. I know a guy like Jim Rickards is probably thinking that, Peter Schiff and, others. But I mean, let's get your thoughts on that. I know I said a lot right there. So, but yes. You're able to, I know you can handle it.
Yes. Yeah. Jim Rickards and Peter Schiff, who have been completely and utterly wrong for so many years. Yes, I'm sure they would love that to happen. But the world has changed. We've moved on to a world where digital currency is part of our future. It doesn't mean every digital currency is part of our future, nor does it mean that cryptocurrency is the only part of our future. It simply means it's here to stay. And anyone who was saying that it wouldn't happen has been wrong. And again, gold. Bitcoin is $10,600 right now. The first time it ever got to 10,600 was less than 2 months ago. So to say it's crashed is kind of comical, because a year ago it was $1,000. But aside from the point, look, when we talk about dominance, and first we'll talk about dominance, then we can talk about the market. And no, Ethereum's not at its high. Ethereum is 1140, which is much higher than it's been most of last year, but it was as high as almost 1,500 just a month ago. But yes, quote, dominance has gone down because we've had a lot of altcoin speculation. In fact, the biggest component of that dominance increase that we saw was Ripple, which isn't even a cryptocurrency, and it's pretty much a scam. And in fact, CNBC, they were pumping how to buy it only 3 weeks ago at $3.50, and today it's $1.20. So again, this is how much you should listen to CNBC. But again, you've had a huge increase in speculation in altcoins, meaning anything that's not Bitcoin, in the past month or two. And most of them, like .coms, don't do anything, nor will they ever. And that's a big reason why you actually have had a mini bubble in a lot of them, because they don't have use cases. And then, of course, the other component of dominance is that most of these, if you look down the coin market cap, the top list, most of them are what is called pre-mined. They haven't even been circulated yet, so they're just calculating everything that they could one day circulate as market capitalization. In fact, I see here, it looks like 7 of the only ones that are not are Bitcoin, Ethereum, which has an unlimited supply, Bcash, which is a fork of Bitcoin, and Litecoin. Everything else is pre-mined. So it's a lot of scams and a lot of fraudulent accounting that goes into dominance. But more importantly, when you talk about real world dominance, I mean, Bitcoin is probably 90%. The only ones that actually do anything other than Bitcoin, Ethereum has lots of competition in the future, but it certainly does something. And Litecoin does something nominal. And you look down the list, Monero, but very few actually do anything. So I'm not too worried about dominance. This has just been a lot of speculation. And what we're seeing right now is, for the most part, a consolidation of a parabolic move, which was enhanced. First, you had the front running of all the hedge funds coming in on January 1st. And then, of course, you had the hedge funds coming in and just buying everything up to diversify. So, yeah, we're consolidating that. The Bitcoin price is down about 50% from those highs, but it's back to where it was 2 months ago. And more importantly, this is the first time in the 2 years I've been in it where I don't really see any issues. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not worried about the network. It's growing fast. Adoption is growing. I'm not worried about governments. I'm not worried about hard forks. So again, people, we're in a bear market, which may or may not have bottomed. And if it hasn't, this is going to be a very good time to accumulate for the future.
Well, certainly buying and holding Bitcoin has not hurt anyone, and I'm a testament to that. I've been very happy with Bitcoin, but I think we wanted to talk about some of the potential concerns, and you said you have none. But one of the biggest concerns right now is that it's one of its use cases, at least one of its use cases a couple years ago or a year ago, was the microtransactions and to be able to use it on a small scale basis. I know that's changing over time. But a lot of people and even some businesses are saying, hey, we're not going to use Bitcoin for that anymore. They're going to use some of the other cryptocurrencies to transact with. And first of all, does that concern you at all? I mean, as Bitcoin may lose some dominance over time and people say, you know what, maybe this other one is better. Over time, how... time and time again, is the degradation of Bitcoin at risk if people do that consistently over the next 5 years, let's say?
Well, first of all, they haven't done any of that. I mean, what you're talking about is, quote, people are saying they're going to. But right now, cryptocurrency, for the most part, is not used by anyone for transactions. I mean, there's the only businesses that actually accept cryptocurrencies are accepting Bitcoin. And yes, less of them have accepted it in the last year or two for several reasons. One, the fees have gone up because Bitcoin was in the middle of a scaling debate. And as a result of that, principally because this Bcash has been spamming its mempool and making it more expensive to use, and that's artificial, and that's going away now. But aside from that, I mean, Bitcoin has developed its primary role as digital gold. That's what the primary use case is right now. So whether people are using it transactionally or not really doesn't matter. I don't hold it because I want to buy coffee with it. I hold it because I believe it's a store of value over time. That said, while you're mentioning this, at the very same time, we got SegWit only a few months ago, and already these second layer scaling technologies that SegWit enabled have been going into place. This Lightning Network is the most amazing thing. I've already seen plenty. It's already on the mainnet. It's already being tested, and it makes transactions cheaper than any cryptocurrency out there, or as cheap as any out there. Certainly as cheap as Bitcoin Cash or Bcash. So within a year's time, I'm guessing that this and all the other things that are being added, Schnorr signatures is another one, Rootstock, all these things are speeding up the network, and I think that's going to be the big surprise of this year. Last year was SegWit. This year is going to be just how fast the network is. And by the way, if we end the year much faster, because right now already the mempool is down and transaction fees are down to nothing if you are a business. But my guess is that even if we get to this incredibly slow and cheap level to the end of the year, it still won't be used by much other than to store value. Eventually in time, it and other cryptocurrencies will be used more. But right now, the altcoins are principally used for speculation, and Bitcoin is principally used as a storage of value.
Andy, I was at the Miami Bitcoin conference, the North American Bitcoin conference in Miami. And
blockchain conference.
Yeah, it's a big blockchain conference, and it was the largest one to date. Maybe they've had one since in the last few days that has been larger than that one, but to my knowledge, that's been the largest one. 4,000 attendees. I believe there were 6,000 tickets that were sold at the event. It was absolutely huge. And I tell you, there was a lot of people concerned that there's a lot of greed and euphoria circling the environment at the moment. But one thing that I stepped back and told myself, I said, you know what? Money attracts talent. Sure, there's a lot of scams out there as well. But when you have an entrepreneur that's financially incentivized to solve problems and to bring real solutions to the table, who knows what's going to come out of this? And I was kind of inspired by that. Any thoughts on this?
Well, absolutely. I mean, money's primarily attracted to money. It's been attracted to the prices going up. And as a result, it's attracted a huge amount of scams because ICOs, for the most part, are. Some are valuable. Some provide things that can actually be useful, but it's like the dot-coms. 90% of them are simply money grabs. Probably the euphoria is a little less than if they had the conference a month ago. But yes, it definitely attracts the good capital, the good human capital, and the bad. And right now we have some of both. And that conference, from all the people that I saw down there or talked to, said it was principally like an ICO love fest. No one cares about Bitcoin. They just care about creating their own money out of thin air. These ICOs or other altcoins that are formed in other ways. And ICOs are cheaper, of course, than forming your own altcoin with actual developers. So there's all kinds of things going on right now. I would say most of what's coming to the sector is negative, but what's positive is going to the best projects. And that's why Bitcoin is getting the vast majority of that capital. And I'm not just talking about investment capital, I'm talking about human capital. People are seeking ways to develop the best projects with the most potential profits, personally and as an industry. And that's why the Bitcoin core development team and the Bitcoin periphery businesses are growing dramatically. But, from what it sounded like down there, from what I've been told, it's for the most part people looking for like the next big get-rich-quick scheme. And that doesn't work 99% of the time. And right now it doesn't work in cryptocurrency either. Right now we're going to see a discerning of the wheat and the chaff. And right now people are going to be surprised at how much chaff there is and how little wheat.
Andy, 27, one of the things that was said at the conference was that 2017 was the year for utility tokens, largely built on the Ethereum blockchain. And there's a shift, there's a change that's happening. I know you spoke with the founder of Pillar, and tokens are going to be securitized, or we're going to see security tokens, basically being able to split up companies for equity in the way that you would do a stock. And this is becoming a big thing. I know the company Polymath and T0, they're working very hard to tokenize equity in an AML KYC compliant, a huge competition to the stock market. And I know that's not your focus, but I find it interesting, and I'm almost wondering, do you see a value for, the stock world to be tokenized?
Oh, I've talked about this at length. And again, when you talk specifically about topics like what I spoke with David Siegel the other day, because he's an expert in ICOs and tokenizing and all kinds of blockchain securitization things. But generally speaking, from a big picture, I've said this now for many months. I believe that stocks and bonds are the dinosaurs of the financial realm. I think they've been so abused by corporations and governments and central banks to the point that they've just become get-rich vehicles for the 1%. They're barely used for financing anymore. They're used more for financial engineering and for personal enrichment. The future to me, and then again, who gets the money aside from them? It's the investment banks who underwrite them. That the Goldman Sachs get to make all the money. Again, this is something society pays for, and very few gain from it, except for the 1%. And that's why I strongly believe that the future of financing, just like the future of money, I think is decentralized, i.e. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies that are decentralized, not that there's any others right now. I think the future of financing is decentralized, meaning we don't need investment banks, we don't need commercial banks, we don't need central banks. What we need is a well-developed platform in which people can fund each other. I mean, we already have this, quote, shadow banking system, which in many cases is abused, just as the brand new ICO market is abused. But I truly believe that tokenization of the economy, both by private currencies and public companies, is the future. And I think people are going to be shocked at how little fiat currency is used compared to both cryptocurrency and tokens, say 10 or 15 years from now.
All right, Andy. So in conclusion here, you used the word double dog years. What do you expect the world to look like, or specifically Bitcoin to look like in 2 to 5 years, 2 to 5 double dog years, as you put it? Is there any way to anticipate what things will be like in light of the fact that 2016, so much happened? I mean, 2018, 2019, 2020. I mean, this is moving so fast.
I mean, I barely remember 2016. 2017, I can remember the very end of it, probably from Segwit on. But think about all the crazy things that happened in 2017.
It's crazy.
And most of it is a memory right now, that it's a fading memory. And I think when we look 2 or 3 years from now, I think the whole world will be different. I mean, this system is so unsustainable. I know everyone doesn't want to believe that because they've gotten so used to the powers that be, like holding interest rates down at zero and propping up the stock market and, putting out GDP reports that are fake when everyone knows that the 99% are suffering. You can see it in the debt. You can see it in the debt in the governments. It's not like they're not suffering either. You can see the political turmoil in governments going on because of all the instability caused by this fiat system. It's not sustainable. It's if this is maybe this is the next financial crash. I mean, it could be. At some point, we have to have some repudiation of this debt. I'm hoping it's not a worst case scenario, but it's going to happen in some way, shape, or form. And when it does, you're going to see the digital age emerge in a way that people can't even imagine right now, and even myself. I would bet you 2 or 3 years from now, I would imagine that Bitcoin will have a far more prominent role in the planet, and that and the legacy finance system will be. I mean, I would expect gradually on its way out. Perhaps it'll be more than gradual, but the digital world is here to stay, and Bitcoin is here to stay. So if there is any kind of material decline from here, this is the time to be owning it.
Powerful words there. All right, Andy, thanks for coming on CrushTheStreet.com. If people want to learn more about you and get information on